World Vision and Compassion International are two of the most recognizable faith-driven nonprofits on the planet. Both of them were started in the 50s. Both of them have over $1 billion in revenue. They have similar missions. They serve similar audiences. And yet one of these organizations has a story that's better than the other. But which one is it? Let's find out. But first, why should you listen to me? I'm Joel Montgomery, and over the past 20 years, I've been working with mission-driven organizations on 5 continents. I've helped raise millions of dollars for good causes. I've helped generate millions of dollars for mission-driven organizations. I've worked with Acumen, Endeavor, Eventide, National Bible Bee, among others. So how are we going to objectively figure out which of these organizations truly has the best story? Well, we're going to be using something called the Story Clarity Framework, which looks at 5 key aspects of an organization's story on their homepage. Firstly, the hero image. Secondly, the headline. Thirdly, the subheadline. Fourthly, the video. And finally, the CTA, or the call to action. So let's get started. Here we are on the homepage of World Vision, and the hero image is going to be the first thing that your eye sees when you come to a site. This is a beautiful image of these young ladies in a classroom somewhere outside of the United States, and you just get a sense for how special these young children are that World Vision is supporting. All right. Now compare that to the image that we have from Compassion International. It's actually not an image. It's a video that runs for about 20 seconds showing different aspects of their work. I really like when people use video for their hero image, but I think that the video elements that they chose cannot compete with those incredible smiles over at World Vision. So for the hero image, I'm actually going to say that World Vision is going to win out. What about the headline? The headline is the key element that's going to tell you what the organization does, what they're about, okay? So at World Vision, they say, together we can build a brighter future. Sounds good, but it's kind of generic. This could be for a general contractor who's building houses. This could be for a school. This could be for lots of different organizations. Don't really know what the organization does based on this, okay? Now, over at Compassion, we see they say, release a child from poverty in Jesus' name. This is a beautiful headline for a number of reasons. Number one, it has a powerful verb, release. Who are they supporting? Children. What are they? What is the villain? The villain is poverty. They're releasing children from poverty. And what is the context? They are doing it in Jesus' name. So this is clearly a faith-driven organization. Really powerful headline. Significantly more powerful than together we can build a brighter future. So I'm going to give the edge for headline over to Compassion. Now let's look at the subheadline. At World Vision, they say, your support helps a child and their community rise above poverty. Okay, at least we're getting more details about what World Vision is, okay? But there's not a lot of emotion there. It's technically correct, but I certainly don't feel anything when I read those words, all right? What I do like about this is that it's not very long. It's short and sweet. Now compare that to Compassion, and over at Compassion, you have a much longer subheadline. And generally, I don't recommend having a longer subheadline, but I think it actually works in this case. And the reason is because we are speaking to a faith-driven audience, and everything is grounded in Jesus as the model. Jesus's love inspired him to care for the vulnerable, and now we are going to do the same thing in Jesus' name. That is really, really, really powerful. And even though it's a bit long, I think it works given the audience that they're speaking to. So for the subheadline, even though it's longer than I generally recommend, I'm going to give the edge to Compassion. Now on the video side, neither of these organizations is really leveraging video. Video is very powerful. It pulls you into a story, and neither of these organizations are, I think, using it very effectively. World Vision doesn't even have a video on their current homepage, whereas if we look at Compassion, there are several videos from the field further down the page, and so I think that is good. But the videos themselves, I don't think are particularly very good at storytelling. So I'm going to give a little bit of the edge to Compassion here since they do have some video elements, but I think there's a huge room for improvement on both of these sides. Both of these organizations should be using video in a more powerful way. The last element from the Story Clarity Framework that we're going to be looking at is the CTA, or the call to action. And in this case, both organizations have a similar CTA, sponsor a child, sponsor a child. Over here at Compassion, you do have a general donate button, but in general, I'd say it's a draw on CTA. So when we look at these 5 different elements, I would give Compassion the edge over World Vision. But I don't want to call it just yet because I want to look at 2 key areas that will tell us if we are, in fact, if our diagnosis is correct. And we want to look at web traffic, but we also want to look at the financials. All right. So first, web traffic. This is actual web traffic for the websites of Compassion and World Vision. Now, first you see that there's about double the monthly visits at the Compassion site versus the World Vision site. 900,000 monthly visits over at Compassion versus 425 or 26,000 over at World Vision. But that could just be simply they're spending more money bringing people to the site. Okay, so we can't put all really say that there's a better story at Compassion just because of traffic. You can buy that. What we really need to pay attention to are two things: the pages per visit. So how many pages on the site is the average person visiting? And secondly, how long are they spending on the site? And so you can see here that when you go to Compassion, the average person is looking at actually 5 pages versus only 2 pages at World Vision. And even more importantly, if you look at the average visit duration, you see that it's 2 minutes and 39 seconds over at Compassion versus 1 minute and 33 seconds over at World Vision. That means that people that come to the Compassion site are spending 70% more time, and they're seeing about 3 more pages than people are at World Vision. So when we look at web traffic, we can also definitively say that Compassion is winning on that aspect. All right. Now, the last element of our diagnosis is going to look at the financials. And you maybe think, why are we going to look at financials? We're talking about story. Well, there's actually story that's hidden here in the financials as well. So both of these organizations in 2025 had a budget of about 1.4 billion. But what gets interesting is when we see the breakout of where that money comes from. So for World Vision, about 44% of their budget is coming from private giving, which is going to be the majority of donors. And then 100% of Compassion's budget is coming from individual donors. Okay, so that's more than double. Now, the third line here, grants. You see that World Vision has 36% of their budget is coming from government grants, and there's 0% over Compassion. Not that they can't get it, but it's they've made the decision not to take government money. Lastly, let's look at revenue stability, and we can see that World Vision last year lost a huge grant from the U.S. government of $143 million, whereas the revenue was stable over at Compassion because they were going to millions of individual donors. All right. So if we look from a financial perspective, we can see that there's more individual donors that are giving more money over at Compassion. So they win as well. Now, the last thing that we want to look at is the mission tax. What is mission tax? Mission tax is simply what is the impact an organization is having today, and what is the impact they could be having if they were operating and firing on all cylinders. Okay. And so the question is, how much impact is World Vision losing? Now, we don't have the internal numbers, so this is going to be purely based on publicly available data. So I'm just going to give you a sense for how big this miss on story truly is to how much the impact they can actually have. So if we see that there's 1.4 billion $1.4 billion coming from individual donors over Compassion, 634 million of private giving that is at World Vision. Okay, and so if we subtract those, we see there's a difference of $766 million more individual giving that's happening at Compassion. Now, World Vision charges $39 per child. So in a year, you will spend $468 per child to support one child. And so if we divide 766 million by 468, we get 1.6 million children. So what that means is that World Vision could theoretically be serving 1.6 million more children a year if their story was dialed in to the same degree that Compassion International is. So taking all this into account, which organization has the best story? I think without a doubt, we can say it's Compassion International. So do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments.